Hey guys, it's Sidney Galpern from SimiCakes.com, and I'm here today to answer one of the top questions I get when working with Isomalt, which is, how do I know how much Isomalt I need? I'm going to show you how I estimate how much Isomalt I'm going to need for a project before I even make my piece, whether you have your mold yet or not. The food scale is going to be the most important tool to figuring out how much Isomalt you need. I'm going to use water in place of Isomalt because they are going to be a very similar estimation as far as how much it takes to fill up your mold. So generally when you're making bigger pieces like big panes of Isomalt or Isomalt windows or even bases, it's going to be hard to estimate exactly how much Isomalt you're going to need. So what I do is I'm going to take my form, so in this case I'm using a big metal cake pan. This is the same one that I did when I made the collaboration sculpture with Nicholas Lodge of Alice in Wonderland. We wanted it on a big water base, which in this case was going to be Isomalt. So to figure out how much Isomalt I needed, all I did was I filled up the pan with water as thick as I wanted the Isomalt to be, and then I can just pour that out into a separate dish on my food scale and figure out how much water it's going to take and transfer that over to how much Isomalt I'm going to need. Make sure to zero out your food scale with your vessel to hold your water before you start to get an accurate estimation of how much water is in there. The Isomalt is going to be about 1.5 times heavier than the water, but I always make sure that I overestimate even more than that just to be safe. It's better to have too much than too little. Now that we have an estimation of how much Isomalt we need to get, all I'm going to do is transfer that over to my Isomalt tiles. So I'm just filling a silicone bowl on my scale with that exact amount of Isomalt that I estimated, or a little bit more if you can, and that is going to just melt in the microwave and you can fill it into your mold, and there you are. So let's say I know what I want to make out of Isomalt, but I don't have the mold or the form yet. What I can actually do is create my own. For this, I'm using tin foil and a ruler to figure out exactly what size and shape I want my form to be, and then just forming it out of the tin foil and filling it with water as thick as I want my Isomalt to go. From here, I'm just using my flex form molds in the same shape and size and creating that form that I can pour my Isomalt into. Flex forms are a silicone tube that you can shape into any shape you want to create panes and bases really easily out of Isomalt. You can also use flex forms to help create the frame by lining them with foil after you make the shape. If you're making a really large piece and you don't have the form yet, you can always make a smaller version of it and then just multiply that by how many times bigger you need it. I hope this helped you figure out how much Isomalt you're going to need for your next creation. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to tag me in pictures whenever you make anything out of Simi Isomalt because I love seeing all of your beautiful creations. And let me know if there's any other tips or tutorials you'd like to see next. Keep life sweet!